Hello there, my name is Dr. Jones. Very good to see you today. Please make yourself nice and comfortable. Now then, today we're going to be doing something called the Autism Spectrum Test. Quite an interesting little test indeed. We're going to have 50 statements that I would like you to tell me whether or not you agree or disagree with each statement. Okay, it's quite simple. You can give me a little bit of extra information if you'd like. You could just share your thoughts with me on a particular statement if you would like, and I will write it down on my little clipboard and take it into consideration. However, mostly I'm just looking for agree or disagree, so it's up to you how you would like to answer these statements, these questions. Okay, got a little bit of a sentence here to describe the test itself. It might do a better job than me at explaining the test. Okay, so it says the autism spectrum encompasses a range of neurodevelopmental conditions, all pointing to the presence of disorders such as classic autism, Asperger's syndrome, or Rett's syndrome. However, there is considerable variation in the type and the severity of the symptoms. Okay, so this is just for a little bit of diagnosis, a little bit of, I guess you could say, fun, because it's interesting to know a little bit more about ourselves personally. Don't you find? Don't you think so? I think so. Okay, so just let me grab my pen for a moment. Okay, and I think we'll begin with the statements now. So remember, just give me agree or disagree with each statement. Okay, first statement, here we go. I follow a set schedule closely and tend to avoid unfamiliar things. Do you agree or disagree with that statement? Okay, next. I have never been good at sports. Okay, next. I accumulate lots of facts on subjects and topics that interest me. I often bump into things or trip over my own feet. People have told me that I make repetitive, strange noises and or repeat certain words out of context. I cannot stand certain sounds, such as those made by vacuum cleaners, drums, or busy traffic. I usually feel unhappy more days than not. I have a tendency to hit or destroy things when I am angry or stressed. I talk to my friends at a party the same way that I would talk to my co-workers. I rarely experience happiness or joy. I am almost always in the same neutral or flat mood. Others say that I speak too loudly or too softly. Others have told me that I have repetitive bodily Being away from home for extended periods of time frightens me. I have been described as having an unusual posture. Even when I am paying attention in conversations, I do not necessarily look into the eyes of the speaker. At parties or other social gatherings, I will usually stand in corners or close to a wall. I get temper tantrums where others cannot reach me. I have trouble understanding what people mean when they say they feel happy for someone else. I almost always carry some special object in my purse or wallet that provides me with a sense of security, comfort, or control. When I am having a conversation with someone, I prefer to look at the wall, at their shoes, or somewhere other than into their eyes. I sometimes have compulsive thoughts about being injured or having other bad things happen to me in extremely specific ways. As a child, I would often repeat words or phrases that were said to me. I generally avoid eye contact with others. Others have told me that I speak like a robot. I dislike talking to people that I don't know. I am often beset by feelings of sadness. I get obsessed with strings of numbers such as dates or license plates. It is hard for me to sit still without tapping or fidgeting. when I see a balloon, I worry that it might pop. Expressions like raining cats and dogs and feeling like $1 million are confusing to me. I am very sensitive to noise. I prefer to do things on my own rather than with others. I have certain routines or habits that I feel I must follow. New social situations make me anxious. I have a tendency to yell at people when I feel frustrated or stressed. I am rarely worried about anything. I do not like going to loud places like malls, markets, or amusement parks. I feel irritated or angry when I have to navigate uncertain situations. I enjoy parties. Okay, I do believe that's actually all the questions for you today, all the statements. There were only 50 to ask you. Obviously, I've got your answers here, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go away, I'm going to look at your answers, and I'm going to give you a score out of 50. Okay, and as I mentioned at the beginning, depending on your score, you can fall into different categories here. The highest score will, of course, diagnose you with autism, slightly lower score with Asperger's syndrome or something like that. Okay, it is a spectrum, it's not necessarily black or white. Most people have at least a few autistic tendencies. So, yes, I hope you enjoyed our time together today. Bit of a short session, but I think these little introspective questions, they're quite fun to think about, and it's just quite nice really to have a nice relaxing sit down and have a little bit of a think, answer the questions. It's relaxing. I find it relaxing anyway. Hopefully you do too. Okay, so yes, I'll come back to you with your results at a later date, perhaps next week, and we can discuss your results, what they mean. We can go into a little bit further detail about them. Nothing to be concerned about, of course, nothing to be concerned about. It may just give you an explanation for some of your thoughts, feelings and behaviours, may give you a sense of validation, and it may make things just make more sense to you, basically. And we can talk about coping mechanisms if necessary, how you can improve in situations that you find a little bit difficult or stressful. Okay, but that's obviously on a personal one-to-one basis. Everybody's different with these things. Okay, so anyway, you did absolutely